Before we get into this video, I'd just like to say a big thank you to one of my sons, Joe, who could see that I was struggling making videos with my iPhone, and to my surprise and delight, a parcel arrived the other day and he'd gone and bought me a GoPro. So thank you very much, Joe, it's really appreciated. I'm still learning how to use it and I'm sure I'll get better, but it's a fantastic gesture. Okay, on with the video. Hi, it's Martin here again. In this video I'm going to show you how to use neutral density filters with your pinhole camera. Keep in mind the way that I'm going to show you is doing it inside the camera. So if you've got a roll film camera, 120 roll film pinhole camera, you're probably better using the ND filters on the exterior of the camera so you can remove them after each shot. With this camera, the 045, I'm going to use the ND filter on the inside of the camera, and I'll show you how I'm going to fit that. And that means once I've taken a photograph, I can remove the dark slide and take out the ND filter if I don't want to use it in the next photograph. So I'll show you how I'm going to fix this this ND filter to the 045. A very technical way I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it with blue tack. So get the filter out. There's the filter. This is a 6x ND filter, and then I'm going to place some blue tack. Bring this camera down so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to get some blue tack. And just pull some strips off. This way it saves screwing any holes into the camera to fit them on the front. And then I'm going to put the blow tack around the ND filter like this. So it goes around the edges. And do the same on the other side. Then I'm going to place that filter over the hole. So I'm covering the pinhole on the inside. So I'm going to go around the pinhole with the filter. Just pressing it down tight so it doesn't move. Stand up to do it. Now that's pressed in, and it's covering the pinhole, and it's not going to move. It's tight, fairly tight anyway, so hopefully it won't move. So as I say, that's a 6x ND filter. Now you might ask why you would want to use an ND filter on a pinhole camera. Well, there are times if you go out and you've got say a 400 ISO film loaded in the camera, and you can't get down to the split seconds on very bright days. So using an ND filter can control your exposure. It will also allow you to give longer times. You might say you bring exposure down to 4 seconds or 20 seconds. You might want to use a longer exposure to create more blur. You know, you might want to create blur in the skies. You might be doing a street scene where you want to remove everybody from the scene just by using a long exposure. So they do come in handy, and you know, it pays you to carry a few ND filters because that's the only way you're going to control the exposure with a pinhole camera. So I'm going to go take the photograph of this tree. It's in my back garden. I'm on lockdown, so I can't go anywhere else. And I'll show you how I meter using my spot meter on this tree, and then get the exposure running, and then when it's done I'll develop the film and let you see the end result. So I'm going to go set up the tripod and I'll show you what I'm doing and how I'm going to meet her. Right, I've got the camera set up now, and all that I have to do is try and get a composition. And to help me with that, I'm using this viewer that comes with the 045, and I've marked on it some little dots for 25, 50 and 75, and all I've got to do is hold that to my eye and then look with one eye closed and try and compose with this. It does give a reasonably accurate view. And can you believe I've got it just about right? So now I'm going to take a light reading. I'll take a light reading from the shadows and place them on the zone 3. So I'm getting an exposure f22, quarter of a second, on near enough. But because the f-stop is a lot smaller on the pinhole, and I've got an ND6 filter inserted into the camera, then the exposure is going to be a lot longer. So I'll work that out on my phone, and then I'll show you how I've worked it out after I've taken the picture, and I'll give you an idea how I've calculated it. So as I say, that's the exposure time with the meter. So let me work out what the actual exposure time should be. Right, looks like I'm getting around 27 minutes. So I'm going to start the exposure and then go sit down and find something to do for 27 minutes. Right, that's the exposure running. Just leave it and then just go fill some time in. Right, 27 minutes to kill.
I'll just look at my phone and see if there's something on YouTube or on the news. Oh, I'm bored of that. Why, strawberries. She loves strawberries, she grows them herself. I can kill the bugs. She loves fresh strawberries. Oh, found a biscuit. Nice light meter. Oh dear. It'll buzz when it's finished.
Time's up. Go get the camera. So that's it, taking the picture, and I'll show you when I get down into my room how I calculated the actual time, and I'll just show you the photograph I was taking. So we've got the sun at the back of the tree shining through. I didn't allow the sun to shine directly into the pinhole. I shielded it with a tree, and I want to capture this lovely shadow at the bottom running away from the tree, and we should have a view that angles inwards like this that we shall see. So that's the actual subject of the photograph. So I say we'll go get this developed now and then see how it turned out. So this is how I calculated the exposure time. The actual meter time at f22 was 1/4 of a second, but the actual exposure was 27 minutes. Now I use the reciprocity timer app, and I've got some charts that I use on the phone, so I do all the calculations from the phone. So first of all, I'll go into the charts, and you can see I've got 3 charts on the phone, and these represent the pinhole sizes on the 045. So if I was to use one panel on its own, it would be 25mm f138. If I use 2 panels together, it would be 50mm f176, and if I use 3 panels together, it would be 75mm at f216. Now in this picture I use 2 panels together like this, so I'm going to use the 50mm chart. Now you can see on the chart there's the grey side and the yellow side. The grey numbers are the exposure times at f22, and the yellow numbers are the actual times at f176. So the exposure that I calculated at 1/4 of a second at f22, if I go across to the right, I can see in yellow that it's giving me a time of 16 seconds at f176. So I've just got to remember the 16 seconds. So I come out of that, and then I go into the reciprocity timer app. At the top I look for the film that I use, which is Fuji Across, and then I look for the actual time of 16 seconds. And there doesn't appear to be 16 seconds, so I'm going to have to work from 15 seconds. And as you can see, 15 seconds at Fuji Cross is actually 15 seconds because Fuji Cross doesn't suffer from reciprocity failure up to I think about 2 minutes. So it's 15 seconds, and then I've got to dial in the compensation for the neutral density filter that I used, and that was 6 stops. So I dialed in 6 stops, and that's now giving me a time of 24 minutes at f176. But because I can't go to 16 seconds, I've only can only select 15 seconds. I'm going to increase that exposure, or I did increase that exposure to 27 minutes. So from 24 I went to 27 minutes, and that's how I calculated the actual exposure time. Right, I've got the film, the pinhole shot in the film holder. I'm going to bob it into the tank and start the development process. Right, that's the film loaded into the tank. And now I'm going to start the development process. Right, I'm going to develop the film. It's in this tank now, I've got that in there, nice and secure, no light getting in. I'm going to work on Sandy King, who was the guy who formulated Pyrocat HD. And it's going to be a longest development of about 17 minutes. But the way I'm going to work this is going to control the highlights. It's more of a semi-stand development. So first thing, I've got to pre-soak the film, and then once that's been pre-soaked, I'll start the development process. It's all warming up there, the chemicals are warmed up. So right, go pour it out and use water as a stop bath. So that's the fixer. Next stage is to wash the film. So I'm just going to go wash the film. I'm going to add a little bit of wetted agent in the final rinse and then hang the negative up to dry. Right, that's the developed negative. You see that? Now I'm going to hang it up to dry. Yeah, see that? That's the negative that's hanging up to dry. Just leave that for a few hours, and then we can view the negative after I've scanned it on the computer, and I'll show you the finished picture. Pinhole photography is the oldest and the purest way of capturing images onto any light sensitive material. The way the light projects through that tiny pinhole into a light tight box produces images that have a timeless ethereal quality to them that no other type of camera can match. If you are a film photographer and you've never tried pinhole photography, it's simple to do, and believe me, when you've actually composed an image, developed the negative, and you pull that out of your developing tank and you see you've actually captured something, I'm sure from then on you will want to do more pinhole photography. Anyway, on to the picture in question. This is the scan negative. This is the finished edited image that I've cropped in slightly. And this is the image mounted into what I call a forks frame to give you an idea what the picture would look like framed and mounted. Anyway, that's the end of the video. If you have any questions, just leave them below and I'll do my best to answer them. And once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.